The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Rev. And off we go with Admiral COVID.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder.
Into deep space. Deep Space Nine.
There you go. As of yesterday, Massachusetts total cases was 554,360, with new cases being 1,410. Total deaths was 15,967. New deaths was 42. Bristol County had 56,045 cases total. In Fall River, we had 141 new cases since February 25th, 2021, bringing us to a total of 12,325. We had 7 new fatalities since 2/25/21, which brings us to a total of 323 fatalities. So the numbers are looking good, or much better.
Yeah, well, that doesn't make any difference. They want to keep you locked down for the next 100 years anyway, so they can so they can run their agenda. So
yeah, but the thing is that the governor has opened up Massachusetts a little bit more. The governor of Connecticut opened it wide open. Everything's open in Connecticut now. So
well, they're beginning to, but I mean, they've already done their damage in these states. I mean,
right?
Massachusetts and Rhode Island and New York and California had the most stringent lockdowns and stringent everything, and they lead the nation in per capita deaths. So none of this baloney, and now they're out of control with their rhetoric. I mean, Biden calling Texas Neanderthal thinking, and even though Sweden never locked down, and they've got some of the best numbers in the world. So anything that goes against what they want is they begin to disparage. So and then Beto O'Rourke, the genius, said, "Oh yes, they have a death cult. That's it. These people are all they're sick. They have a death cult." I mean, this is just ridiculous. These politicians, but they got a death cult too. They had some nitwit said something about being at the Capitol, and they were on guard the entire day, and they're saying now the latest thing is if there's a 1% chance that something can happen, they're going to have to keep armed guards there and shut down Congress. That's I mean, it's amazing. Yet they'll let them pour over the borders now, bring in COVID, but now we have to be locked down. So I mean, this country is so far out of control, it's incredible. And all they're trying to do is establish George Orwell's 1984. So Big Brother's coming. They want to control everybody. Lock yourself in, wear your mask, shut up, be happy that you can get any vaccine, and that's the end of it. So,
well, what's very interesting, now that you brought up the Capitol, I'm glad you did. They went into lockdown for a threat of insurrection, and a memo went out to all members of Congress to use the tunnels to get around the Capitol and to have their staff work remotely. And they canceled all votes for yesterday and today because of this. So again, we have nothing going on. And the worst thing I think that came out was the fact that the National Guardsmen who are working there are being fed with subpar food. It appeared on Fox News that there was metal shavings in the food. It was undercooked. It was raw. It was moldy. It was bad. And the vendor was providing it this way. And we're feeding this to our soldiers.
Yeah. Well, look, CJ, we know that the government doesn't care about people. They don't care about the God. This is all optics for them. They want you to be afraid, and they want you to be locked down, and they want you to be conditioned to follow all their orders. That's what this is about. Because listen, if they were going to shut down Congress, which may not be a bad thing, actually, and you look at it, it may not be a bad thing, but if they were going to shut it down, they would be shut down forever, because virtually everybody in Congress gets hate mail of some kind, threats of some kind. I mean, people who are radio and TV personalities get hate mail and threats, and people make disparaging remarks. So if you're going to be shut down, you're going to be shut down forever. But see, therein lies the difference. They're getting shut down because somebody made some ridiculous comment like, we're going to invade the Capitol. Listen, I hate to tell you this, people, but that is such a pile of crap. Do you really believe that, what is this, 1776, we're going to hide behind trees and shoot the British as they walk by? You're going to overthrow the government? I hate to tell you this, but the government owns the military. They'll roll out the tanks, bring in the F-15s, and they'll kill everybody that tries to invade the Capitol. That's not happening. There's going to be no armed insurrection in the United States of America. It won't last very long, and there's going to be a lot of body bags. That's the reality. This is all hyperbole. This is all BS to push their narrative. Keep you scared, keep you in. Because let's face it, they are worried now. They got to use the tunnels. They got to work from home because somebody said something in Facebook, some indirect threat. How about putting all these snowflakes and let them walk around the streets of East LA for a while? You think they'd ever go out of their house? Let them walk around the streets of New York now where they're beating people half to death in the streets, and they want to defund the police. They took a vote on that. Let them walk around Chicago on a weekend where there's 50, 75 murders and all kinds of other violence. You really believe that they need razor wire, fences, 10,000, 20,000 National Guard to protect their snowflake butts from some nitwit wearing a pair of horns on his head and makeup, that he's going to overthrow the government? I mean, it's bull. It's absolute bull. Armed insurrectionists, highly trained people. Those weren't highly trained. It was a mob of idiots. That's what it was. Half of them are sitting in the chairs taking selfies. Look, was it wrong? Absolutely. But I still haven't heard anybody say that all the murders, all the property damage, all the physical assaults that took place in Seattle, in Portland, and in every other place in the United States by BLM and Antifa poses a threat to the United States. This narrative that white supremacy is the biggest thing in this country is BS. Just look at the stats. They called it, it's all about semantics. They're using fancy words to make it seem worse. Insurrection, not a riot, insurrection. They attempted to throw over the government of the United States. Really? Really? There was nobody in there that was armed. They confiscated 2 weapons out in the street. That was insurrection. You know, that's just like when we look at how we look at rich people versus poor people. And look at the difference. If you're crazy and you're poor, you're crazy. If you're rich, you're eccentric. You know, a little odd.
A little.
You know, that's what you are. They use all these, they manipulate language. What, you know, If you're overly aggressive, you're pugnacious. But if they like you, you're really committed. You're engaged. You're passionate about something. If you're somebody they don't like or you're poor, you're crazy. You're mental. You're trying to. You're overly aggressive. You're pugnacious. And this is the problem. They control the narrative. They own the media, and they sell people a bill of goods. And like we always say, you don't have to believe us. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to agree with me. But check it out. You really believe the bunch of boneheads that were in there, half of them in costume, were trying to overthrow the government? Yeah, one congressman say that was a special lot, highly trained people tried to overthrow the government. You think that chaos that you saw on TV was highly trained? If that was a highly trained militia, they would have been armed and they would have had a plan, and it wasn't running around taking selfies in the Capitol. Because who really did have a plan and who were fairly well trained? Antifa. They have radio communications. They have people that are in the back in constant radio communication, coordinating their attacks. You have nobody in the back of that circus that they had at the Capitol running that show. It was just chaos. A bunch of loonies running around with no rhyme or reason. But you look at Antifa rallies, you see them constantly in communication. And that's the key to a real coordinated operation, communications. Antifa communicates, BLM communicates. They show up with trucks, with shields, with weapons, with bottles. They come with the intent to do damage. Those nitwits were just acting for the most part on impulse. But then again, I'm not saying that's right. What they did was right. It's absolutely wrong. But when they pile so much crap on you and you begin to believe it, it's on you. It's just like when you let the government not do their job and don't vote them out. Don't believe the baloney. Look at the reality of what's happened here. Look at the reality of what's happened. Look at Antifa demonstrations in BLM. Any of those, they come with shields. They come with trucks full of equipment. They have communications. Those bozos didn't have anything. But they're going to tell you that they're the big threat because they run Antifa and BLM. So they don't want to talk about it. And that's hypocrisy. So.
Well, I guess you had your diatribe this morning.
Well, no, nothing irritates me. Nothing irritates me more to see them. All they canceled Congress for was so they could line up the votes to defund the police and do all their other dirty work, change the election laws. You need an ID to get on a plane. You need an ID to get into a hospital. You need an ID to rent a car. But you don't need an ID to vote. So,
no, and according to HR 1, because that's what you're talking about is HR 1. According to HR 1, there's a lot of problems with that when they're trying to take away the voting rights and the voting laws away from the states and federalize it. So it's definitely an interesting parallel there that they're trying to show us. Isn't this how the dictators take control of their countries?
Absolutely. But, and whose fault is it, CJ? It's our fault. Now
it's our fault.
Now we switch the diatribe because it's very, very important. We're gonna end up with a very dangerous situation in this country. We will have real violence at some point in time because people will only take so much and then there is going to be an issue here. and in this country. And it's a sad commentary because we won't allow debate. You know, they want to shut off and squelch everybody, and it's not going to happen. But talking about screwed up governments, we can switch over to our city government. We got so much things to talk about. We have the school, we have the superintendent. And before we get into that, I just want to make a little point here. Isn't it ironic that we've been talking about, they all keep talking about Matt Malone, there's nothing they can do about it, the school committee. There is. Didn't we say a while back that the city has a sexual harassment policy?
Yes,
for
they
all
do.
Employees.
Yep.
And guess what? Now they're trying to get Cuomo on. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Now they're saying that New York State has a sexual harassment policy for all its employees, including the governor. So city council, your hands aren't tied. You not only have the purse strings and you can question the kind of expenses he's putting through, but he's also violated the sexual harassment policy of the city of Fall River, and therefore he should be held accountable. Because they'll say, "Oh, there's no policy." Well, there is a policy. You know, and even if there wasn't a policy, you have a moral imperative to hold the superintendent and the leader to a higher standard. So even if it's not a written policy, you can say that your behavior is not in keeping with your job, therefore you're gone. So let's stop pretending that we can't get rid of this guy, and let's start admitting that they're covering for this guy.
Well, you know, and you want to add insult to injury. On Monday, the evaluation of the superintendent is going to be read into the record of the school committee. His evaluation. Guess who approved his evaluation? The superintendent. And I'm going to read it to you word for word. Mimi Larrivee will be presenting Superintendent Malone's evaluation this Monday. Isn't that a conflict? Didn't she vote to keep him?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Larrivee is using an evaluation template / rubric that was chosen and approved by Matt Malone himself.
Wow.
I mean, talk about the fix being in.
Oh, there's no conflict there, right? It's like the fox. It's like the fox giving a lecture in the hen house.
That's right. And interestingly enough, they posted a picture of Matt Malone and Mimi Larrivee, and Matt Malone is standing behind her with his arm on her shoulder. Isn't that lovely?
Inappropriate touching.
Could be. Looks like he's also got her by the arm. Looks like he's holding her arm and he's like doing one of these. But again, that picture could be slightly off on having her by the arm.
Yeah, but I mean, he shouldn't be putting his hands on anybody, especially somebody that's on a school committee after all the crap we've gone through. Obviously, this guy has absolutely no ability to act like a normal person. I mean, the last thing you would want to do is put your hands on somebody, especially somebody who voted to keep you in spite of the fact that you should have been gone. And talk about inappropriate touching. This guy's had so many problems. It's like now, Cuomo, I never touched anybody, even though they got a picture of him with his hands on some woman's face who looks horrified because he was going to plant a big sloppy one on her. But you know, what can you say? What can you say? This is being allowed. We have an election in November. People have to run for the school committee, and we can't allow this. We're going to have to start a petition and basically get people involved to say that, look, we're not happy with this. They're going to keep this clown. And don't complain about Fall River, people. Do not complain about Fall River if you allow this to happen and not melt the phone lines of the city council and the school committee. They should be melting. You should be calling them, leaving messages. You should be signing petitions. You should be doing everything you can to show how unacceptable it is. Why you want to complain about Fall River? Well, why? We get ice house guards. We got a superintendent that nobody else in the state wants. Of course, he's not going to resign because he'll never get another job in education. Nobody else on the planet would hire him except Fall River. And now they're gonna extend his contract. All those people should be run out on a rail. Actually, they should be put in jail for collusion. And
what's interesting is they had Mimi Larrivee read his evaluation. Why didn't they pick Kevin Aguiar? Why didn't they pick Paul Hart? Huh? Yeah. I mean, wouldn't that be interesting? I mean, at least you would have a sense of fairness in the evaluation. With Mimi Larrivee reading it, I have no sense of fairness. As a matter of fact, I think the fix is in. So,
and they're using the template that he created.
Exactly.
So let's get a template for your evaluation. Just give me everything that your height, everything else you want, and then we'll make all that a criteria of a great evaluation. So you write your own. So everything that you possess will be positive, and you'll get a great evaluation. I mean, this is ludicrous. I mean, this entire thing, it is opened up and shined a light on how corrupt and how incompetent the school system is. And now we know why, without a shadow of a doubt. Before, it was just, there were a lot of allegations about the school committee and about the school system. There were a lot of wondering, but that's been removed now. All doubt has been removed. We know why our system doesn't work well. We know why we have such an underperforming system. Because we all know about the manipulation of data. Graduation rates. They don't base the graduation rates on how many people started as freshmen.
No, they base it on who started as a senior.
That's right. Because if they did that, they'd have, probably the worst graduation rate in the country. But, I mean, now we've seen how screwed up this school system is because they're all closing ranks and they're getting away with it. I can't believe it. I can't believe that somebody can get a special job made for his wife and nobody in the city's and not enough people are complaining. We've got a few people complaining, but not enough. I mean, this is outrageous. And then they give you the finger. It's like, yeah, that's right. We created a job for her, and she's not going anywhere. She's keeping that job. We might even give her a pay raise just to piss you off. So, I mean, talk about getting your nose rubbed in it, people. It's time to stand up and get these people out. How many signatures you need to run for school committee under the new charter? 150?
150.
Yeah, yes. 150. I guess we're going to have a mass meeting to garner signatures for anybody that wants to run. So make sure.
Well, the governor's opening up the venue, so now we can do it.
That's right. We can get down to one of the clubs and open it up and have a mass. All your candidates come down and come on down, people, and we'll talk some politics and get signatures for these people who want to run for office because something's got to be done. And obviously, we can't allow the people that we elected to work for us. They're not working for us anymore. So it's time for us to eject them from the game. You're out of here.
Well, while we're on ejecting things from the game, let's take this over to the CPA. As you know, I've been saying it all week that I've been doing a lot of research on it. And I finally got the research completed, I think, on what needs to happen. Okay, so in 2012, we passed the CPA. The city council accepted it. They accepted Mass General Law 44B. Now, to repeal the CPA, we have to wait 5 years. The 5 years has been met. We're all set there. And then you have to have the city council repeal Mass General Law 44B, and then they send it to the ballot. If the repeal of the CPA is passed, then we're fine. If the CPA repeal doesn't pass, then the city council reaccepts 44B and we keep collecting the CPA tax. Here's one of the problems. If the CPA has been bonding, which I've heard them say a couple of times they want to do that, but if they've been bonding, they have to keep collecting the CPA tax until those bonds are paid off. So we have to do some research into if they got any bonding out there. But as you see, government at its best, making sure that they take everything they can from you at the drop of a dime.
And when we check on those bonds, we're also going to check. We have to do it. We're going to have to get somebody to do an audit because we're going to have to see if any of those bonds were for funds for work they never did, like the roof on the Armory. Remember that one?
Yeah.
We gave them money to put a roof on and they never put it on. Then we gave them money a second time to put the roof on. And did anybody recoup the money that was given to them or find out actually where that money went because the roof did not get repaired? And how many other things have the people done? This has been a political thing and we have to do it. So CJ has been doing a lot of work on this. We've got the thing down. We're going to put it together and weather's starting to break and we're going to be getting active. So.
Amazing. Why does everyone pick this time to call?
I know. That's why I got mine on silence for a change, but I got to remember to take it off silence at the end of the show because I always forget.
I was going to say, at the end of the show, you want me to say, Chip, remember to take your phone off silence.
Exactly, because then I'll miss 25 calls today because it's on vibrate in my pocket, in a jacket pocket or something. So,
yeah.
But, people, I mean, we kind of make this we kind of try to give you a little levity when we do this, but this is tragic. Our city has gotten worse and worse throughout the last few decades, and we've become a giant patronage pit, and it's up to us to change it because they'll never change it. They're doing okay. They're like the elitists in Washington. They're doing fine, and they're not going to change anything because I just got a text reminding me of what we knew that, isn't it ironic that the guy who got a job for his wife, they made a special, they were told to make a second position. Your taxpayers paid for it. This guy's the chief probation officer in the courts. Isn't it ironic that he probably should be on probation?
It always makes for an interesting day.
Public malfeasance.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to bring up was the fact that in my research for the CPA, I noticed a lot of special questions on the ballot for bonding. It seems like the city of Fall River approves every bonding question that comes out, and then you complain about it. You approve it in a vote, and then you complain about it. $10 million here, $10 million there, $300 million there, and you vote and you say, yes, we need it. Guess what? Say no once in a while and make them work with what they got. Times have come for things to change. And one of the things to change is they need to work smaller and work with less and give us more. When I heard Mary Sahadi turn around and say that certain departments need to have more personnel and they are going to put in the budget for this year, that extra personnel, including 25 police officers for the Fall River Police Department. I'm not saying that we don't need 25 police officers. But you know what? Can we afford 25 police officers? Can we afford to put more people in every department? That's the big question.
But remember one thing, we have 25 vacancies because they've been making the money for those vacancies.
That's right.
By not having them on there, not paying the Blue Cross. I'm looking at I'll give you the exact numbers on Monday, but I can tell you it's about $8 million just for the police department by keeping those positions unfilled. They're unfilled because they wanted them unfilled.
That's it. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, wear your mask. Have a good weekend. Thanks for watching.